Welcome back to episode 17 of Book Nook Brews. It is the month of June, and we are starting off with a new book, which this month we are reading The Martian by Andy Weir. And this week we'll be covering topics, chapters 1 through 7, and then we'll get into more thoughts afterwards. We don't really have a brew today.
No, it's kind of been of a chill day.
Yeah, I'm kind of just drinking some water, kind of trying to get through a headache.
We did find a new type of soda that we liked. We could talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many probiotic soda drinkers there are out there. But if you haven't tried Poppy, spelled P-O-P-P-I, those sodas are actually pretty good. I always stayed away from them because I'm like, healthy sodas are never any good.
Plus, we had, I think the one I had was the Olipop, because I think that's the one that had like the alternative ginger ale, which was fine, but it does have like an aftertaste that kind of lingers on that isn't like the best.
Yeah.
But
then we were kind of just walking around the grocery store today, and we saw those, and we're like, I don't think we've ever tried them, so we could try those. I got grape. You got Doc Pop.
Yeah, Doc Pop.
Which is kind of like their Dr. Pepper knockoff. We're happy to report those were actually really good.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be exactly like soda. I was expecting like a weird aftertaste, but
it just tastes like kind of like watered down versions of those things, but not watered down where it's been sitting there with the ice melted all day. Like it's kind of like you dilute it with a bit of water. Yeah. And it's that. Like plus, it tastes better than their diet versions.
Yeah, you know? And like I'm not a fan for like grape sodas or anything, but your grape one was not bad.
I'm a fanatic of grape soda. She's a hater.
Not a hater. So, maybe, actually, yeah, I'm a certified hater. Sorry, not sorry.
And when she tried that, she actually liked it. So, and that says a lot for it.
Although I will say, and I was just telling you this earlier, that I feel like I haven't been drinking that much soda thanks to, like, drinking a lot more of bubbly.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've always disliked, like, sparkling water because they tell you, oh, it's like this flavor, and it's like you can't really taste it.
Yeah.
Or it's like kind of odd. Yeah. I don't know, something about the bubbly, like you don't really taste the flavor that, like, it's not like right there in your mouth, but it's like a nice aftertaste. And I don't know, it's it's been a nice way to just have something, a nice little pop per se. Some carbonated drink, but not soda. So gotta love my bubbly. Yum. But yeah, that's our little new thing of like the week that we just like kind of got into literally today.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let's go ahead and start talking about The Martian, because I want to start talking about it. But before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and read the blurb. That way we have an introduction of it all. So let's go ahead and get into it. 6 days ago, astronaut Mark Watney became one of the first people to walk on Mars. Now, he's sure he'll be the first person to die here. After a dust storm that nearly kills him and forces his crew to evacuate the planet while thinking him dead, Mark finds himself stranded on Mars' surface, completely alone, with no way to signal Earth that he's alive. And even if he could get word out, his supplies would be gone years before a rescue would arrive. Chances are, though, Mark won't have time to starve to death. The damaged machinery, unforgiving environment, or plain old human error are more likely to kill him first. But Mark's not ready to quit yet. Armored with nothing but his ingenuity and his engineering skills, a gallows sense of humor that proves to be his greatest source of strength, He embarks on a dogged quest to stay alive, using his botany expertise to grow food and even hatching a mad plan to contact NASA back on Earth. As he overcomes one seemingly insurmountable obstacle after the next, Mark begins to let himself believe he might make it off the planet alive. But Mars has plenty of surprises in store for him yet. Grounded in real present-day science from the first page to the last, yet propelled by a brilliantly ingenious, oh my gosh, plot that surprises a reader again and again, The Martian is a truly remarkable thriller. An impossible to put down suspense novel that manages to read like a real-life survival tale. And that's our blurb. And we're going to be doing something a little bit differently for this book. You're actually going to be doing some of the recaps.
Yeah, I'm going to be reading some off for this week is chapters 1 through 7. But I guess we can just go ahead and start now so we can talk about it. So, chapter 1, Mars astronaut Mark Watney reports in his log how his Ares 3 mission went wrong on its 6th day, and in parentheses, Sol 6. So in this book, they're going to be referring to days as sols, S-O-L, just meaning solar days. So whenever you hear us say Sol 6, Sol 37, Sol whatever, that just basically means day 6, day 37, whatever, stranded out there. So, mission went wrong on its 6th day, Sol 6, after landing on Mars. Mars days are longer than Earth days. While Earth days are 24 hours, Mars days are 24 hours and 37 minutes. And Watney counts them in sols. Watney assures the rest of the crew that he does not blame them for being stranded. Watney explains how Mars missions are set up. Much of the equipment is shipped in 3 years beforehand so that it's ready for the crew when they arrive. They fly in on the Hermes, a ship powered by ion engines, a trip that takes 124 days. They use an MDV, Mars Descent Vehicle, to get to the surface. The MDV can handle sandstorms of up to 150 miles per hour, so when it is hit with a 175 mile per hour gust of wind, the mission has to be aborted. All of the crew makes it back to the MDV from the HAB workstation except Watney, who is hit and impaled by an antenna. When Watney wakes, he discovers that his spacesuit saved him by calibrating his internal atmosphere levels, but that he risks dying from oxygen toxicity. He pulls out the antenna and uses a breach kit to seal the hole in his suit. He hobbles to the HAB and stitches up his wound. He discovers communications are down and that his biomonitor computer is destroyed. His crew thinks he is dead. He is dependent on his life support systems not breaking and is likely to starve to death before any possible rescue. Chapter 2. Watney takes stock of his supplies. He has food enough for 300 sols, or days. The HAB and life support systems are in good shape, and as are the 2 rovers. His solar cells work once they are dusted off, and he has a lethal amount of morphine for when his food runs out. Watney figures his best chance of survival is to fix the radio and/or wait for the Ares 4 mission that plans to land 3,200 kilometers away in 4 years. By Sol 10, Watney has found no sign of the radio components. However, he is coming up with a plan for food using his botany skills, using the small amount of earth soil he has with him to mix with Martian soil, his own waste as fertilizer, and a handful of potatoes. He needs to figure out a way to make more water to keep his soil moist. Watney calculates that by growing his potatoes, he adds 90 days to his life. Chapter 3. Mark Watney calculates that thanks to multivitamins, his nutrition is not a problem. He simply needs to generate enough calories, 1,500 per day, to survive. With his meal packs, he has 400 calories per day, so he needs to come up with a way to get 1,110 more. However, he has a limited amount of farmland since his crop will not survive the Martian atmosphere. He does not have enough water, and he needs to improve crop yield. As a break from pondering his situation, he busies himself with manual labor, shoveling more Martian soil in the hab. He carefully cuts his potatoes to plant them. He increases the temperature of the hab so that potatoes will grow faster. Over the next few days, he continues his farming and sets up the pop tents. Then he decides to make his own water by taking hydrogen and oxygen and burning it. The MDV, the Mars Descent Vehicle, left behind hundreds of liters of unused hydrazine. With that, Watney can make 600 liters of water. But the process will be very dangerous. He also raids Commander Melissa Lewis's personal data collection to watch her 1970s TV shows. Commander Melissa Lewis being the commander of the, was it the Hermes?
Hermes?
But she was one of the others that left and just left him there. Chapter 4. The process of making water from hydrazine is not only dangerous, it is also very time-consuming. On Sol 33, Watney sets up his reaction chamber to make water. But to create fire, he needs something that burns. Fortunately, his crewmate Major Rick Martinez has a small wooden cross that Watney splinters to use as mini torches. By the end of the night, Watney has filled the water reclaimer and also a spacesuit that he has repurposed as a water tank. On Sol 37, however, he realizes that his chemistry calculations were off and there is too much hydrogen in the hab, turning it into a bomb. Chapter 5. Mark Watney realizes he must trick the regulator into pulling all the oxygen out of the hab, so that he can burn off the hydrogen without causing an explosion. However, without oxygen, his soil bacteria will die. To prevent this dying off, he must lower the temperature to just above freezing so that the bacteria will hibernate. To preserve the potatoes, he bags them in a spacesuit and carries them to a rover. Watney also has to find a way to trick the regulator because it will not allow the oxygen level to dip below 15%. He does so by taping up the air intakes, leaving only a tiny hole. Watney begins to clear the hydrogen with controlled burning, but then he is knocked to the ground in an explosion. His mask is damaged and he breathes in pure nitrogen, making him dizzy. He manages to find oxygen and returns to normal. The next day, Watney runs full diagnostics, which he finds, quote-unquote, incredibly boring. All systems are fine, and Watney realizes his exhaled breath released the combustible oxygen into the air, causing the explosion. Chapter 6. Venkat Kapoor, the director of Mars operations, is in his office at NASA. Teddy Sanders, the administrator of NASA, enters, and they discuss Watney's memorial service. Venkat asks for the satellite time of the Ares 3 location to access the state of supplies. Teddy is reluctant because NASA is the public domain and all imagery goes straight to the public. He is afraid of the bad press if Watney's body shows up on camera, but he agrees. Mindy Park in SatCon looks at the images from the Ares 3 site and calls Venkat. The rover pop tents have been activated, meaning Watney must still be alive. They tell Annie Montrose, the director of media relations for NASA. They decide their number one priority is to find a way to communicate with Watney. Annie goes public with the news that Watney is alive and creates an international media frenzy. Venkat floats the idea to Teddy of using Ares 4 to rescue Watney, but both of them know it's too risky and Watney cannot survive that long. Finally, Chapter 7. After finishing up his farming tasks, Mark Watney turns his thoughts to the rescue. He has to figure out a way to get to the Ares 4 landing site, and he knows he will need to trick out a rover. Watney calculates that it would take him at least 35 days to travel based on getting approximately 90 kilometers a day out of a battery charge. He transfers the battery of one rover to the other to have extra power. He attaches the battery by fashioning poor man's saddlebags with spare canvas and resin. For solar power, he will need the solar panels, which he stacks on the roof of the rover. Later, to relax, he finds his digital books on his crewmate Beth Johansson's computer. On Sol 66, Watney begins his Sirius missions. Sirius spelled Sirius, a pun based on the rover. His first mission is to drive in circles to see how far he can get on a single charge. After an hour of driving, however, he gets very cold and realizes he needs a heat source. He exclaims, "All my brilliant plans foiled by thermodynamics," and curses entropy. His solution is to dig up the RTG, the radioisotope thermoelectric generator, that Commander Melissa Lewis buried 4 kilometers away because Mission Control did not, quote-unquote, want to put astronauts next to a glowing hot ball of radioactive death. After 4 serious outings, Watney decides he is ready for a longer trip. And that is where this section ends. Thoughts?
I really like the movie. Oh my god, I really like the book so far. I like the logs, but I like Mark's character overall. Closer. I like his character overall. He just seems very, I don't know, it just comes out like very genuine, at least when like it's going through the logs. Nice in my head. I will say, I feel like this story kind of took me a couple of reads. Am I fine?
You're a little lower than when you started, but go ahead. I'll fix it over there.
Okay. I feel like this story has taken me like a couple of reads. Like some pages take me just a little bit longer to go through. And I feel like mainly that's just due to there's just a lot of science going on, and I'm your math girly, but I'm not your science girly, and that has been a struggle sometimes with having to understand it. But I do feel like the story overall does try to explain it in a way to have you somewhat understand it, but also my head just doesn't compute even the most basic bits.
Yeah.
At least for me.
I don't know. For me, it wasn't crazy. I mean, like, yeah, it walks you through that, but it also doesn't give you anything that is like, hey, you got to do this math yourself to figure it out. Like, it is confusing just in like term wise. Like, I don't know, like, I didn't know what hydrazine was and stuff like that, but just, I don't know, for me, it was very, for them to give you all that chemistry for me is what kind of put me in a little more, just because you kind of have to, like, it gives you the material that he is working with, you know, like it's kind of like he is like, it goes back to you what you saying, like, very, like, I forgot what word you used, but it's like personal, like genuine. Yeah, it makes it feel very genuine because it's like he's telling you what he's doing, you know, like a direct entry, which it's basically what it is, right? It's an entry from him, but it feels genuine, like he actually wrote that stuff.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, like, I guess this is where it kind of just shows that we're two different readers, because for me, all of that science it just, my mind will sometimes just check out, and so I'm like, nah, let me just pay attention. Like, don't check out, like check back in. We need to understand all of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think just my brain is not built for science, and so it was just a little bit difficult for me to follow through.
Yeah.
But like, I think there were some parts where my eyes quite literally just glazed over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I don't think this is, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get quizzed on this. So I think I can continue on. I'm like, I think I get the general basis of it. But I was like, I'm not here to pass my chemistry test right now. I did my time in chem and I'm good.
For the next 3 episodes, I'm going to make quizzes then.
No. Hey, I mean, if you do it, that might actually be a nice way for me to actually like, all right, so how much, like, when he started to get into all of the, what was happening in the have, with all the hydrogen or the nitrogen and all of this and converting into water. And I'm like, how como, how is this happening? I will say something that wasn't mentioned in the recap was, what he added to the soil, a bunch of shit.
His own. Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Did it say
he had to put his own waste? They called it waste, but yes, yeah.
I don't think you mentioned that you took like some of the recap, by the way, like from another source.
Oh yeah. Since this one, we didn't really know how to do a recap of it, just because it's a lot
of jargon.
It's like recapping logs, basically. We're taking the chapter recaps from a website called Course Hero. I tried looking for it on like Spark Notes, but they didn't have it. But this one popped up right under it, and so far they're letting you view every chapter. So thanks to them. Not a sponsor, but
shout out to you for
shout out to Course Hero for having that available.
Yeah. So that's when I was like, I don't think I remember hearing it because they say waste. Like he in the book he says shit.
Yeah, and it smells like shit in there, but he's like, yeah, you get used to it. I'm like, bruh, there's no way. Like, I get it's yours and there's nobody else around, but I could not be falling asleep to the smell of shit and then waking up and that's the first thing I smell, and it's shit. Like, it's whatever. Like, no, dude, I'm not doing whatever.
But I guess that's kind of, that's his survival instincts of what he needs to do.
And it's also probably the least of his worries. The
smell. The smell of shit is probably not something he's carried too much about.
Yeah.
But not only that, he had to use his shit plus his own crew member's shit.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
I think I just wait until I keep on pooping and I just use my own. I don't know if I can use someone else's.
Well, who knows if by that time you'd make enough. I mean, you're already low on food too.
Damn, so. True. But I mean, he like, this man, like, immediately, like, I think the first log was just him freaking out, and then the next log was like, okay, I know I freaked out, but I think I might have a chance at surviving. And he goes through all of his math, and I think that's one of the interesting things, because even though it's a lot of science jargon and a lot of things that we may not understand just from like a common standpoint, he's able to explain it very well and run you through his thought process.
Yeah.
And so,
also, sorry if you hear a bell and slamming metals. Our cat likes to make as much noise as possible when eating, and that's what she's doing now.
Brought to you by Grace. But I feel like that's where a lot of this book shines for me, is just being able to follow Mark's thought process and being able to, okay, and I see some personality from him, even if it's just like these logs per se, because he's kind of like, these logs are essentially just a recap of what he's done in the day.
Yeah.
And so It's been nice. I don't know. It's very different to other books that I've read. And do you know anything about, like, you don't know anything about The Martian, right?
Like the movie?
The movie, book overall? Nothing?
No, nothing.
No?
I just know that the actor's Matt Damon.
Yes. Yes, it is.
But no, that is all I know. Okay. I think the little bit that I knew, we've gone through. Like from the clips that I've seen online and stuff, I've basically has been summarized within these 7 chapters. So I don't think there's anything I know that is beyond this.
Okay. And so you don't have any idea how this ends, right?
No.
Okay. I think I remember the ending, but I'm going to pretend like I actually don't because I truly don't fully remember it.
Yeah.
But I do want to give a shout out to some of the book's like very nice moments. So in chapter 6, when they find out that he's still alive, which by the way, I thought was pretty epic of how they're like, you should probably come over here and take a look.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, now what's going on?
Like, what could be so important right now that I have to come and look over here? It's like, dude, one of your people's still alive.
Yeah. And then the PR person is just like so fed up. He's like, you don't have to be in front of these cameras all the time. You don't have to deliver the news. I'm out here like like putting my neck on the line. And like she's like, I'm so tired of these press conferences.
Especially being NASA, like it said, like it was a public domain. So they have to do those press conferences. Otherwise it's going to look worse.
Yeah.
Because they don't release information that's already public.
And like coming from my background of have studying like advertising and public relations, I know how much of this could be such a political night or not political, but like a PR nightmare overall.
Yeah.
Because like you said, imagine this gets out to the public first without any response from NASA. Yeah. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. So they have to like try to prolong how quickly these images get out to the public. That way they can draft up a response, get all these press meetings like set up and everything. And even one of them had to fly out to where Mark's parents are to be able to tell them in person before they hear it from the media. Yeah. And like, imagine that's all you have to do within 24 hours. That's stressful. If not less. It's already stressful. Yeah. So just reading them like, oh no. Yeah. But just a very like such a nice comedic moment in this book was on chapter 6, the last page, when he turned back to Venkat. I wonder what he's thinking right now. Log entry Soul 61. How come Aquaman can control whales? They're mammals. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's like, man, he must be so scared. He like he must be going crazy with not being able to talk to anyone. He was like, man, why can't Aquaman talk to, like, how does that make any sense? What was the other thing I told you when I was reading? I just looked over to you and
I was gonna mention it too. I was like, that's probably gonna be my favorite line from the whole book. It's in chapter 2, I think. Is it? If we're talking about the same one. Where it's just it's one sentence log entry, and it's just, I wonder how the Cubs are doing.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, if I were to be stuck like that as well, it's funny because that would also be one of my entries. It's like, I wonder how the Dodgers are doing, or I wonder how the Avalanche are doing, or just any sports team in general. It's like, that will still be running through my mind because it's like, I've been here. The trip itself was already 146 days, right? Or something like that.
And this was and I found it. It is in chapter 2. His log entry, Soul 11.
11 days in. 11 days in, and he's already thinking about the Cubs. But it's because you've already missed 146 days of the season.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? There's 365 in a year. That's well over a third of the year already. Depending on the date also. It's like, that could be postseason now. And it's like, I wonder how these teams are doing. I've been gone for most of the season. It's like, how am I supposed to know? And then who knows? He might have to be stuck there for 4 years. It's like,
and he still won't know how the Cubs are doing.
Yeah, he won't know. And I don't think he would know when the season would be ending and starting and all that, because he has it by souls, but not what day it actually is.
Yeah, because days in Mars are a little bit longer, just by like
37 minutes.
Like 37 minutes.
Yeah.
So that has to put you out of whack with like some like a decent amount. With
and I wonder how that works. It's like, like there's 12 a.m. You do all of it, 12 p.m. and then back to 12 a.m. But then at 12 a.m. you have to wait till 12:37 until it's Monday.
Oh.
Until it's the next day. And then do you start at 12:38 on that day, or after or after 12:37?
Maybe it just resets to an even
1. That's what I was thinking a lot through there. I was like, what makes it a day?
Also, I wanted to talk about the rovers.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe it's just my lack of intelligence for this.
Are you picturing Wall-E? No, it's not like Wall-E.
I thought they were like small robots, the size of Wall-E.
No, they're a little. I mean, they're bigger. I don't know how these are described, but I can show you the one that's actually up there.
Because the way he's describing it, now I'm like, is it just a big Wall-E? Like,
essentially.
Like, is this like a pod-sized Wall-E? Oh.
They're like little carts, like 4-wheeler type of looking things.
But he almost made it seem like you can like be there.
What do you mean be there?
Or like enter the rover? Did I not understand that part right? Yeah. So how are you going to move? Because he's like, oh, was it maybe the tents that he meant?
The pop tents?
Yeah, where he can move like some of the soil to?
Yeah.
Was that what he meant? Not the actual rover?
Yeah, because rovers, he was going to put the solar panels on the rover and stuff like that, like this.
Okay. For you guys who cannot see, he's showing me pictures because truly, for the longest, had it not been because of this book, I really thought these rovers were like the size of Wall-E.
No, dude.
So I'm just here thinking, I'm like, how the hell is he moving around a Wall-E? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, they're relatively big, and they're pretty much controlled from, like I guess this one from the NASA station, but then with him there, he has control of it in the hab. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I kept thinking about that, and I was like, I should really look this up before. And I was like, you know what? No. I'm going to go into like recording this podcast not knowing what it is, and if I show up, then I'm dumb on live, then I've been caught in 4K. But, But yeah, I mean, aside from me kind of having to like go over some of the pages a little bit, I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's very different. Also, for the blurb to call this a thriller, it surprises me. I thought it was just a regular fiction book. But I guess, I mean, considering the fact that we don't know if he's going to live to leave or anything.
And I'm assuming it gets more intense later. I mean, the first 7 chapters aren't going to do everything. It's probably going to get more. It might be like a psychological, like thriller type of thing, like where it's like, I mean, at some point, he's probably going to be battling the thought of perhaps killing himself first, at some point and stuff like that. So I guess it's more so psychologically thrilling, but.
Which, have you seen the movie Castaway?
Not in its entirety, but yeah.
But you know about Tom Hanks and the ball? You think Mark is going to have a sort of ball where he'll make like a friend?
No, I don't think so.
I'm just saying it'd be nice. um, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, considering they, even at NASA, they were mentioning it's like, he's gonna be there for a long time alone. To their knowledge, there is nothing there, and I don't think they're gonna make up any creatures that pop up or anything, because this is still kind of realistically focused, I guess, per se, for lack of a better
So what you're
term.
saying is there's nothing up there? Is that your thoughts? Nothing is up there. If it's being realistic, nothing's going to show up.
There's nothing in my thoughts right now in my head, but up there, there may be something. We just don't know. Which also another unintelligent moment from me. I think I forgot that Mars is not actually hot. It's cold. Did you know this?
Yes. Wait, just because it looked like orange, you thought it was hot?
Yes. Yes. My immediate thought was just heat.
Because, I mean, it is described as a desert, but when something's being described as a desert, it's not that it's hot. It's just that it's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. See, you said it. A whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. From the surface. You ever been up there?
No, not this week. Maybe next week though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could have sworn I've heard it before. I've learned, must be dicho, that Mars is cold.
I mean, space is cold in general.
Can I go up there? Because right now it's way too hot down here.
It is hot.
Yeah. It really sucks over here. So can I just have a little bit what's going up over there, but like not die? That'd be great. And so I know I've heard about it, or I've been taught about it before. But since then I have forgotten and have gone back to my what's the term? My bad thoughts of thinking that it's hot up there just because of the color and it being a desert. So hopefully this time it sticks for the foreseeable future that Mars is indeed cold.
Yeah.
Have they continued wanting to bring people to Mars? Is that still a thing? It is, right?
I mean, I think it's always going to be a thing. It's always being looked at, researched. There's still rovers up there and stuff. So that like the general plan, not plan, but like that's always going to be a thing. They're never going to say, all right, no, forget it, until they have physical proof that it cannot be done. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're going to keep looking.
Interesting.
If I'm not mistaken, they found some kind of water at some point.
I think I do.
It was a while ago, but I don't remember. But I will be looking that up just because this is kind of intriguing me. Like
piquing your interest again, huh?
Yeah, piquing my interest again. I mean, I was back in elementary and stuff too. I was really into space as well, but then it kind of just died down because I would enjoy it because we would go over it in class, right? And it would pique my interest, and I'd go get a book or something, whatever. But when they started focusing more on like life science and plants and all that stuff,
botany,
yeah, on botany, it's more like, to me, it was like, okay, I have to put my attention into this, and then hopefully one day in like high school or something, I'll go into some kind of space science. But that never happened. Closest we got was talking about the moons and its different shapes and stuff.
But this book kind of brings to light like how much these people have to learn, because my gosh, this man is a mechanical engineer but also has a specialty in botany, and like this man knows his math so well and his science as well, because he knows how to manipulate the things that he has around him, his resources, to get him to prolong essentially his lifetime there.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I can't do that. My bad. I'm sorry. I don't know.
That's making me think, like, what if it was another one of the crew members that got stuck there? Would they be in the same boat? because
Mm.
yeah, they could do with all the math and stuff probably, but knowing what to plant, how to plant, like that was his job, right? So he was already knowing and there to do that.
Because all of the crew members, they have two specialties.
Yeah.
He had mentioned that. So his is mechanical engineering and botany.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there was another botanist or if he was the only
No,
one.
I think he was. I'm pretty sure it was stated that he was the
Only
botanist.
one. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if there was anybody else, would that have been the case? Would they have known to do, like, does he talk about it enough for them to be like, oh yeah, he said to do this and stuff, right? Or,
ooh, interesting.
yeah.
Imagine another. I guess it would have been nice to know, or it would have been nice to like have like this book, The Martian, but in another crew. Like, what if another crew member was stuck in there?
Yeah.
Would they have been able to survive as long? I guess it really just depends on the things that you know and are able to kind of get yourself through.
Yeah.
To be able to just overall just prolong your time there, which is insane. Do you think you would have survived?
With what I know right now, no, absolutely not.
No.
Had I gone to school to be an astronaut, yeah, probably.
Which I guess shows again how much they have to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested in seeing if there's going to be like a time jump, because I know between every soul there it skips a couple, but I don't know if there's going to be like a major time jump soon, or they're going to wait for that for like the later. Like, I don't know if we're actually going to have to wait the 4 years, or if they're going to get to him before that. But yeah.
I almost think it might be before the 4 years. I think so. Which also, his crew members don't even know that he's dead. I mean, that he's alive. They're choosing to keep that from the crew.
Yeah.
Which I guess I understand their thought process, but at the same time, I don't know if I agree with it fully. But
I don't. But
yeah, I feel like they should know, but I don't know. Like, I kind of understand the reasonings, but at the same time, not fully, to be quite honest.
yeah. I guess that's it for this week. Next week we'll be covering 8 through 15.
8 through 15?
I think is what we had. Yeah. 8 through 15. But yeah, I guess we'll just see you next week for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Alrighty. Bye, guys.
See you.